Hey, what is up guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Gran Turismo 7 update 1.43. It's that time once again, the day after the original update, that we go ahead and have a look at all of the engine swaps the update had to offer. Now in terms of the overall numbers, I guess it's had a bit of a significant drop. For update 1.40 and 1.42 we got 10 engine swaps in each of those updates. However, it's back down to the more typical 5 that we've seen kind of, I guess, with the majority of the updates for the game's life cycle. Now the first thing I'm going to quickly touch on is there was supposedly a bit of a typo error to do with the Toyota Sprinter, that it was down as the Levin and not the Trueno, which also got a engine swap in the previous update. However, when I went back to check, this had either been rectified or was just never there for me. So yeah, not too sure. It will still show up as the Sprinter Torino 1600 GT Apex AE86 from 1983 and not the Levin, so just kind of clearing that one up. So definitely in terms of the update itself, it's very much a fully Japanese lineup in terms of the cars that are now getting the new swaps. So let's get into the first one with the brand new swap of the update, the K14C Swift from the Suzuki Swift Sport 2017 model. Now when it comes to this engine swap itself, I'm not sure how many other cars this engine could actually go in and actually be useful for. However, if you guessed, yes, it is going in the Suzuki Jimny XC, which came with update 1.42, straight away getting its first swap in the game. Now in terms of the original output, because that was the JDM K car edition, it only had something like 69 brake horsepower, which it's kind of limited to. This will pretty much double that original output and gives it a very good base for tuning, especially in comparison to the original engine, which really doesn't put out much horsepower, especially when fully upgraded. You're looking at around about 160 max. So again, it's going to take it up to 120, I guess, around that from standard, certainly giving it much more tuning potential. A very cheap swap at 109,180 credits, and again, just a great base for tuning on. Very much seems something that a real world engine swap could be, unlike some of the more fantasy ones where it just seems to make absolutely no sense. I certainly feel this will be an engine swap that will make the Suzuki Jimny even more alive, considering it's already a very versatile car overall. Definitely improving the vehicle more than taking away, which I do feel like some engine swaps do, especially the more ridiculous ones. The next one though is a bit of a ridiculous one, however it definitely has its upsides and benefits. This is the LS7 BRZ from the BRZ drift car, perhaps one of the most weird and wacky cars in the entire game. Once again, it gets another engine swap. I believe it was swappable, and I want to say one of the Nissans or something like that originally. And it is now swappable into another Nissan, which you'll probably not even guess this one is the Nissan GTR Premium Edition from 2017, swapping out its already very popular engine swap, which is the VR38, now obviously getting the LS7 BRZ for 300,000 credits. Now in terms of the car itself, this is definitely one that caters towards turning this GTR into a drift build monster, which we do actually see plenty of GTRs being turned into drift missiles, so I can certainly see this one being, I guess, based in reality. I'm not really sure how this one's going to handle, and it's certainly one that I'm probably not too keen on. I'm not really into drifting in GT7, I kind of do it every now and again, but it's certainly not my main thing. But for you guys that are heavily into the drifting, and I know there's a lot of you, this is probably going to be right up your alley and one that you're certainly going to want to try out. Probably not too much for me, and I probably don't care about this one too much, but certainly for you drift guys, and maybe for you guys that want to get a bit of a straight line rocket ship, this is certainly one that is going to appeal to that kind of audience. Next up, we have the 3S GTE MR2. This was an engine swap that first showed its face in update 1.42 with the Corolla Levin, obviously the A86 generation and such. It's now going in the Trueno. Now, to be totally honest, it feels a little bit like a copy-paste job. Let's be totally fair, they're very similar cars. There's not really too much to differentiate them, and even when you tune the standard ones quite up, they're very similar. So it's not going to change too much here, to be totally totally honest, it's going to be kind of either your 11 guy or a Trueno guy, and that's going to be how you take your pick. Again, another very cheap engine swap. The 3S GTE MR2 will only cost you 135,000 credits, and this is probably one that I would recommend doing. When it came to the 11, I did actually really enjoy it. It just gave it that little bit more tuning potential and that little bit more potential overall for a very exciting build. And to be totally honest, as much as I love these cars, the original engines in these things are just not that good, especially when it comes to being fully upgraded. They're very much down on performance compared to the, you know, very low weight that they have as well. So again, it just felt that bit lacking. So it is nice to now have it in the Trueno as well as the 11, and for me, those pop-up headlights are always going to give the edge to the Trueno over the 11 for me personally. This is definitely a good swap, but again, it feels a little bit cheap and a little bit of a copy-paste job. I honestly felt this one could have come alongside the previous update instead of just kind of waiting around a whole month or so. Next up, we have the 2JZ GTE Supra, and this is actually going to be the last of the engines that's swappable for update 1.43. This actually goes into 2 cars in this single update. In terms of the engine swaps in GT7, this is certainly one of the more popular ones just because of the car itself that it comes from. It does give all of the cars that it goes into a much better tuning potential, especially in terms of putting out those big horsepower numbers. So the first of the 2 that this goes into is the older generation of Toyota Supra, the Toyota Supra 3.0 GT Turbo A from 1988. I absolutely love this generation of Supra, all the way from the pop-up headlights, just the older styling to it, and being able to put the 2JZ in for only 210,000 credits is an absolute must for me. I feel like this will give it a ton more potential when it comes to putting out even bigger numbers than the already almost maximum 650 brake horsepower I already have on this thing. So very excited to put this one in, and I feel like it's going to be putting out some crazy numbers. Will it be the most usable of this update? Certainly not, but will it be absolutely terrible? No, I can definitely see this being a very, very fast platform of car to swap the 2JZ into. So it isn't obviously the only one of the update that it's going to be able to go in. So we'll move on next to the second car to receive the 2JZ for exactly the same price, the Toyota GR Corolla Morizo Edition 2022. Now this was a car when I first received it as a gift that I fully upgraded, and I just wasn't happy with it. That original engine in there just doesn't put out enough horsepower. However, this is certainly a swap that I'm definitely going to be doing. It's a 4-wheel drive vehicle, meaning there is a ton of potential for handling, and it again just needed that increase in horsepower and a little bit extra top speed and a little bit more muscle at the top end, and you're definitely going to be getting that with the 2JZ. So this is certainly one that I'm definitely going to be doing. I can honestly see this changing the entire car from a relatively good handling vehicle with, you know, okay speed to a absolute rocket ship. Couple that with 4-wheel drive, this is certainly perhaps my favorite of the entire update. Again, when it comes to price point, I don't really need to say much on this. Same price as always, 210,000 credits, a relatively cheap bunch of engine swaps this time around. So there we have it. Those are the engine swaps for update 1.43. Let me know what you think down below. Now, obviously, I'm a little bit disappointed that we've kind of gone from 10 back to 5. Very Japanese lineup, all of them being Japanese. The new engine itself that's now swappable from the Suzuki Swift, I can't really see that going anywhere else other than the Jimny. I just don't think it's a very good platform for many other cars in the game, but who knows, with Polyphony, they might just come out with something and prove me completely wrong. But I definitely feel like that might just be kind of a flash in the pan sort of thing, where it's kind of in there once and then they never do anything with it again. I'm certainly excited for the 2JZ swaps in both the Supra and the Corolla. I certainly think they'll be absolutely fantastic. Massive thank you to all of my members: Victory 2FA, Mailton, Lewis Vieira, Old School Gamers, Crazy Cobra, Carl Wyatt, Phil Wilmot, Dominic Saylor, Dan, Sean and Chris75572 for your continued support. I'll see you on the next one. Let me know what you think down below. Take care guys. Peace.